Are you tired of fighting in this ability-based meta? Classy Restoration, Void Overshields, Invis? Unfortunately, we have to deal with these things right now in PvP, so in a world where we have to fight cheese against cheese, I present to you a way to fight something Gouda with something cheddar. I like to use the Revenant Hunter. For my aspects, I use Touch of Winter, which improves the Glacier Grenade by adding a small stasis crystal in the middle of it and changing the formation, which increases the radius. It also gives 2 fragment slots. Then I also use Grim Harvest, which also adds 3 additional fragment slots. And for the fragments I run Whisper of Torment. You gain grenade energy each time you take damage from targets. Whisper of Shards. Shattering a stasis crystal temporarily boosts your grenade recharge rate. Shattering additional stasis crystals increase the duration of the benefit. It also gives plus 10 resilience while you are near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystals you take reduce damage from targets, and also gives a plus 10 to recov. I use Whisper of Conduction. Nearby stasis crystals track to your position. This is part of where the Grim Harvest comes in. Nearby stasis shards track to my position, giving me plus 10 resilience and plus 10 to intellect. And then Whisper of Rhyme. Collecting a stasis shards grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. Since our class ability as a hunter is tied to mobility, you want to run a higher mobility. I do run Gambler's Dodge. Dodge roll near an enemy, I get my recharge rate back for my withering with my charge back for the withering blade. And you'll see why I do that here in a minute. So I want to run a higher mobility, but I don't want to go too low. So in my opinion, tier 8's not bad. Plus, whenever I have my Xenoclass shotgun out, which is a lightweight frames, whenever they're out and you're using it, it gives a plus 2 tiers of mobility. So whenever I have the shotgun out, it actually brings me back up to tier 10. For the reason having tier 10 resilience, I want to invest into flinch reduction, but I think I get a full 10% flinch resistance from this. Correct me in the comments if I am not correct there. I am running low recovery. I have to have a cost somewhere to have higher higher than average stats across the board for the stat distrib, and I just value resilience more so than recovery. In trials, when you're playing 3v3, there's less amounts of engagements that you go into. You have a better idea of where the closest people are to you, and you don't really have that many not that many variables. For discipline, I am running the Duskfield grenade, which is the lowest of the stasis grenade cooldowns, and I'm running it at tier 8, which puts it at 32 seconds. And I actually do get it back faster if I ever break the small stasis crystal that spawns in the middle of my enhanced Duskfield grenade. I use the Duskfield grenade for damage resistance if I stand near that stasis crystal, and I can also use it for shatter damage. If someone's behind cover, I can throw it beside their cover out in the open, and I can shoot at it and do damage to them from there. I can also use that stasis crystal for throwing it up on a ledge or up on a wall, and I can jump up on the wall onto the grenade and sit on the crystal. I'm running tier 8 intellect. It's a sub right almost right at 6 minute cooldown. I'm using this and I value this because in this meta we have void bubble titans all around in trials. I probably don't go 3 matches in a row without seeing someone running bubble bro, and that cooldown for that super very low how it goes. But I think it's like the second lowest cooldown on Hunter, and Bubble Bro is the lowest cooldown on Titan. So I need to have this moderately high to try to match what is gonna happen whenever the Bubble Bros get their super. I gotta have this high. for trials if I want to run it for trials. In sixes, it's not important to have it up to tier 8. In sixes, you can afford to have it dip down. We have tier 6 strength, and that is tied to the cooldown to the charged melee. And now we'll actually go over the exotic armor choice, which in particular is Lucky Pants, Handcannons. We'll go over the perk real quick. When you ready a fully loaded hand cannon that deals kinetic damage or damage type that matches your subclass energy type, each hit from that hand cannon increases the damage of the next shot or short time against a combatant. That part only works in PvP, but this next part, only in PvE, but the next part works in PvP. Hand cannons are ready faster and are more accurate immediately after swapping to them, provides a small benefit to the airborne effectiveness stat of hand cannons while the buff is active. And that's very important. Very important part of the build. So I'm building into AE, which is the airborne effectiveness stat, while using Lucky Pants and also using the Loud Lullaby 120 hand cannon. So I will go a little bit more over the armor real quick, armor stats, and then I'll actually go over what I'm doing as far as the loadout goes. So I am running a hand cannon targeting and a harmonic siphon mod in the helmet. When I get multi kills with the hand cannon, spawn an orb, and then I go down to my boots and I pick up the orb. I get super energy from the orb, and I also use absolution, which reduces all ability cooldowns each time you pick up an orb of power. This won't be so prevalent in trials, but it's better for sixes, especially when you see teammates spawning orbs. Maybe someone's using a good super, they get multi kills. You can pick up 3 orbs at once. That's really good for that, and more so for control. Honestly, probably a wasted slot in trials, but I don't really have anything else I can slot into the build because of lack of space. So we just run it for right now. In the helmet, and then in the arm slot, I use a dex mod for my secondary weapon, which is the shotgun, so that increases the ready and stow speed for the shotty. I also use fastball to throw my grenade quicker. I'm doing a lot of grenade-based gameplay because of the low cooldown on the Duskfield grenade, so I'm invested in using fastball on that. On the arms and leg pieces are where I use my powerful friends and radiant light combos or chest piece. I'm always using a primary unflinching, and I had enough room for taking charge, so whenever I pick up someone's orb, I can become charged with light. On the Lucky Pants, I am using a shoddy holster. Like I mentioned before, I'm using Absolution. Hand cannon holster automatically comes on Lucky Pants for free, and then for the last 3 spaces, I'm using Radiant Light to increase my cooldown on the charge and melee. And then on the cloak, I run double utility Kickstart. That helps mitigate some of the loss in mobility that I have. So yes, I do have it at tier 8, and it'll have the tier 8 cooldown, but it gets a little bit of help. It gets a bit of front-loaded help whenever I use ability Kickstart and immediately deplete the class energy. It gives me some back. Plus, I have enough. Since they are so low cooldown, it also gives me room to use high energy fire. While charged with light, gain a bonus to weapon damage. Each defeated combatant consumes 1 stack of charged with light. This actually works in PvP, even though it says combatants in here. So the weapons I'm running, like I mentioned before, Loud Lullaby. This is a very, very good feeling roll. But right now, in column 1, I got a perk that increases range, which is Hammered Forge Rifling. Column 2, I was very pleased to get accurized rounds because I wanted to get some more range. If I'm not mistaken, this Loud Lullaby gets, I think it's at 37 meters, I want to say, which is going to fight outside of literally 99% of 140s that are in this game. 140 hand cannons. When I say 140. Surplus increases handling, reload speed, and stability for each fully charged ability. The Withering Blades charged melee on the Revenant Hunter is so weak that I try not to even use it. I need to have I can take advantage of 2 stacks of surplus, which is like 25 handling, 25 reload speed, and like 12 or 15 stability, something like that. So I get in the areas that are weak on this gun, they get dramatic boosts, which is awesome. And then in column 4, I have Eye of the Storm, which is, in my opinion, S plus tier dueling perk. There's hardly any better. I don't really think there's a truly better dueling perk in the game. So when I'm dueling at those ranges, just outside of the 140s, if they get me low, I'm getting more accurate as my health gets lower. And I'm also getting a boost to handling, which, as you can see, needs the boost to handling. We've also got a range masterwork, so that pumps out the range a little bit more. We're using the Xenoclass Shoddy, which also has surplus, has killing wind. Final blows grant increased mobility, weapon range, and handling for a short duration. So let's say I get a cleanup kill with the first shot, I can run around and have an easier time with the second kill on the second shot. I'm investing a lot more into range as well because I can afford to. Rifled barrel increases range, accurized rounds increases range, and masterwork increases range. Yes, this does say it's a 51 handling, but I also have quick access sling, which increases the weapon's ready and stow speed. Like I said before, shotgun dex, faster ready and stow speed for the shotgun. The dust-filled grenade, say you're in trials and your teammates get a down, you can prevent someone getting but maybe the down is a little far away from you. You can throw a dust-filled nade at the down or at the downed ghost, so that way, say if their teammates are nearby, it's harder for them to get that revive. They risk gaining stacks of slow before they become freezed if they try to go for the revive, and also it makes it easier to push that down because they could be slowed, or that enemy also has that much area around them that they cannot maneuver in. So, in my opinion, Dustfield Nade works very well there. You can also throw a Dustfield Nade beside a Void Overshield. You don't want to do it on the opposite side. Generally, you want to do it. You really want to throw the Dustfield Nade as close as you can to the person using the Void Overshield, like the Void Wall, Void Overshield. You generally want to throw it as close to them as possible, and as close to that wall as possible, so that way they can't really stay on the barricade without risking getting frozen. Because when they gain those stacks of slow or gain that stacks of frozen, you get frozen. You can push them more safely because they won't be able to react as well, or they'll be frozen. And speaking of more things that we can talk about for the build, we can talk about some more of the weaponry as well. Um, Specifically, the reason I'm liking using 120 hand cannons, they do more chunk damage. Chunk damage is really good against things like Classy Restoration, and a Lorelei Titan sitting behind a rally barricade, which is the shorter barricade, but they're only sticking their head out. You can do big chunks of damage to avoid the Titan's Sunspot proc from Lorelei. You just got to hit really accurate headshots, but you can do it. I prefer to use the Loud Lullaby. I also really like to use Tree Prophecy. I will use this role in particular with Rangefinder and Explosive Payload if I see people using sniper rifles, because Explosive Payload is going to give flinch. Now, if they build into flinch resistance, well, it's my Tree Prophecy is not going to do that much, but it's going to be better than using nothing. We also have Ace of Spades that can help with that. With high cal rounds, it can also flinch snipers if they're not too terribly far away. I prefer Tree Prophecy over Ace of Spades personally for that, because I feel like it's safer for me to engage at a further distance with that. And I also really like to use Hawkmoon. Hawkmoon is a really good soft counter for this meta as well, because you don't even have to get the kill on every 3 headshots. You just got to keep stacking headshots until you get that final paracausal shot that grants all of the damage. So you can literally just like be in a stalemate, but keep peek shooting and getting precision shots, and eventually you're going to get that. If you play it well enough, you're going to get that 7th shot procced, and you're going to eventually down someone in trials. You just have to play really disciplined and really predict where they're going to be peeking their head. So that's going to be it for the video breakdown portion. Let me know what y'all think in the chat. If y'all have any cool soft counters that y'all like that involve Stasis or Revenant Hunter, or maybe y'all have builds that you like using Lucky Pants and like using Handcannons. Let me know in the chat. Thank you and have a good day.